Hello there and welcome back to my videos. In this video we continue for the project called the component Authentication, and in this project I will try to create a microservice so you can have in one place to do all your login for all your projects, and I'm using the default password encryption. So if you in some places in the future need to split it up, then you can use a default hashed way to do this with your password. And of course I will try to do this in different ways, but I'm starting small and then create a project bigger. And for this video I will show how you can update a single provider. In the two last videos we speak about how we can create a new provider and how you can get the provider if you're an administrator or you're an administrator based on the provider level. The same we want to do here, and I will do it in the same way, like if you are administrator in the system way or if you're administrator in the provider way, then it's enabled to update this provider in your microservice. And before we are starting to type any code, I will hope you want to subscribe to this channel to support me, and of course you can hit the like button already if you don't, so you don't forget it, and then you're ready. And remember to hit the feedback in the comments field. So let's creating the code now. And for this I want to go up here and borrow the code here and copy this and scrolling down for the update, because we need to be sure we are administrator. And then going down here, set this, and we copy this, and we'll of course we want to log in the info, and we say provider update, and then we will do just copying this. And then we have, if you're not an administrator, you will copy this one. And then we need the feedback if we are administrator. We just copy this and going down, provider here, and copy down here. But we don't want to get anything, so just comment this out and collapse this one, create function. And I think that's it for now. And then we need to do a little bit in the class so we know what's happening. So let's go in for the class here, the provider, and create a new one. I think over the create we will make one, call it update, and then we need to build a construct so we can get a validation error if something is going wrong here. And for this we want to call it construct construction, and we need the fields, and it should be dictionary, and what we return should be an union of boolean or none. And then we need a list. That's what we want. The list should be the error message if we have some errors, and the boolean should be true or non-true, like if it's allowed to update or it's not allowed to update the data. So that's what we want to do now. So let's go down here to the update, and what we want is to say response, and then the validation, it's equal to self construction. And what we want to do, it's the fields inside, so we need to say fields is equal to fields, and then we're going up here and say the fields should be in dictionary, and what we want to return here should be basically the same as the construction here, so we can return the validation. And what we say is if response it's true, then we say self provider it's safe, because then we will update anything here, and then we want to return response and the validation code we want to return here. And of course it's return nothing, so let's say false, and nothing here. So that's what we are working with right now. And then we need the validation about anything here. And first I think we need to comment this out, and going back for the Flask provider, so we hit this this code here. So that's going back for the Flask, and inside here we need to comment this out and making a try command, because now we need the provider. So we need to say try, and the provider we should provider not property, provider ID is equal to the provider ID, and the provider ID should be getting up here request, then get the ID, and I want to log inside here, the login info update provider. That's what we're hitting inside here. And then we need to say if it does not exist, then we want to return not found. And it's the same we do inside here. So let's go in to reuse the code. We don't want to do the job one more time. And then we are coming down for the update process. And for now, just a second, yeah. And if we are the administrator inside here, this one should be before. It should hitting here, and then we ask, say our object ID request here token, and then the ID we got is in the provide administration. Then we say pass. So now we need to make the update. We have the update here and response, everything is running well, and we have the constructions return what we want to return. So everything here it's perfect. So let's going back to the Flask file, and inside here we need the response and validation, and we need to provider is update, and then we need the fields, and the fields we got from request, and the request we need to get JSON, and that's what we want. We send the param with the where we get the provider ID, and then we sending the JSON body to tell this is the content we want to edit. And then we're going for if the response is true, then everything is fine, else we want to say login info here and say the provider update failed, validation error, and we want to return something here. So that's what I want to do now, and we want to say this is bad request, and of course we don't want to update the provider, and want to hit this out and say validation, and it's 400 for the bad request. I just remove this as we don't need it, and then we're going up and say if everything is fine, then we copy those 5 lines and we say okay, and that's it, and we just respond 200 and we just say succeeds. I think that's what we want here, and of course I need to start the application one more time. Going for this one, I have the update. Here we have the body and we have the ID. So let's go in and pick up the ID. Let's say we want this one and say, well, this is administrator, we don't need, this is administrator, no. And here we go. So let's remove the two others, we don't need those. And we have this one, and I need the ID of that. And then we, whoops, and we need this inside here. And that's sending something, and we get the bad request and validation error. And you probably think why that's happened, because we have returned nothing. So that's because we have the false here. If I turn it to true, then it should go in directly and say everything is okay and it's done. So the last step we need to do now is basically handling this section, and then we almost is finished. So let's go ahead and start to code it. So let's comment this out one more time, so we have enabled it one more time. And in this one we need to create a response. Response is true, and then we need the validation is empty here, and then we need the validation here and response. Then we always return something, and we need to decide what's happening and what field did we change now. And I prefer we will change allow to change the name, description, the allowed guest sign up, and then the deactivation. And when I'm not thinking about the domains and the administration, I think it will coming in the future, because where we need to update something should be simple, and we need to regenerate like the secret key and the public key. I think we need to build the functions for this, so you can say /domain delete put and get and update and something like that. I think that's much better, and it's a much more clean way, but it's just me and my personal opinion, and that's why we do it in this way. So if the fields, if the length of the fields is bigger than 0, then it's allowed to validate. Else we want to say response, it's false, because if you don't have any fields, then you're not allowed to update. And then we need to validation append, and we will say must be at least one field. And then we're going up here and say if name in field and no, and if the fields here fields name, it's a string, then we will say self provider name, it's equal to fields name, else we will say response is equal to false. And then we have a validation here and append, and I say name need to be string type. And now you can see this is very nice when we have the ODM with the Mongo engine. It's doing much of the stuff we need to work with. So I can just copy this, and we decide to say description, and we need to say allowed guest, and we say deactivated. And then I basically just say description here, description, and just copy this. And description needs to be a string type, and then we need to deactivate it. Now allow guest we will take first, and then we go here and it should be boolean, and the name, and then we have deactivate, deactivation here, and it should be boolean too. And just copy this so it's working. And I think we almost here now. So let's save it and see about how it reacts if we go into Postman here, and everything is going well. So let's test new name, and I'll just do it this way. And let's see, test new name and description. We don't have description here, so let's copy this and say description. I don't want to spell it wrong, so I just copy this. And my new description: allow guest false and deactivated true. And what is today? It's true and false. And let's see what's happening. It should be deactivated true and allow guest sign up false, and description we have it here, and the name. So everything is working fine. So I'll say deactivated false, and we allow this one more time, and here we go. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you take time to watch this, and if you're watching to end, I really hope you want to subscribe my channel if you don't have done that. And of course, I hope you want to hit the like button and share button, and then add it for your playlist if you want, and smash the comments and ask me questions and hit the feedbacks. I'll be lovely to answer you. And thank you so much for your time, and hope to see you next time, and hope to watch more of my videos. And yeah, that's it. So I just have to say hope to see you. Goodbye.